My mother loved Kawan so much, my father was jealous. He was jealous of Kawan. I mean, he mistreated him. He would say certain things. He did not like the fact that my mother loved him so much more than him. You know what I mean? Which is stupid to me. That's your I mean, that grandchild. And Quan would tell me that my father would threaten him and all that stuff. I said, oh my God. I remember one time my father pulled a gun out, you know what I mean, and scared my nephew. He chased all of us out the house. I said, oh my God, unbelievable. Your grandson.
My first real memory with old Henny. Now, it's a family member, we call him Kawan, right? My aunt, who was his grandmother, we have an uncle who's a missionary in Ghana, and she wanted my uncle to take Kawan with him to Africa because she knew what was going on here with his mom and the time he would spend just in the park, homeless and whatever. And she said she'll get the procedure if my uncle promised to take Kawan to Africa with him. So that's my first real memory of Kawan, through my aunt having this conversation that you got to take him. And that's what my uncle did. He took him. So my next interactions is when he came home.
Henny's goal was to pursue a career in hip-hop. His first concern, though, was his mother. She was dying.
Her last day, and I went in the room and I said, Niecy, just ask the Lord to forgive you for your sins, because you always believe in God. And she shook her head, she had tears all down her throat, and she shook her head. I said, you know I love you, and she know that. And I said, you know you're going to see Mommy, because she died on our mother's birthday, November the 16th. I could not believe it. On my mother's birthday, she died.
And then you wonder why I'm pissed at these drug dealers. Ain't no sugarcoating this, they straight up killers. They got their own problems, they ain't thinking of mine, they need money, even if it means killing my mom. Now they out on the streets, while I deal with the grief. They got cars, all I got is memories and a reef.
You see, she had a pretty horrible past and things going on in her life, so we didn't know if this was a good thing or, a bad thing, or can she handle this or whatever. It didn't matter what anyone said. She said that I am pregnant and I'm going to have this baby. Now, what the concern that my mother had was that, okay, Niecy, with your lifestyle, out there, the parties and things like that, this would probably not be a good idea. I've never seen Niecy so persistent in my whole life, but she was determined. It would bring up anger a lot. She was like, I don't care what nobody says. Sometimes she would just run out the house in a rage, like, I don't care what no one say. I'm going to have this baby. She was a determined person, as I said, and she showed it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Niecy stopped everything that she was doing so that this child could be born healthy. For someone that had so many things that went on in her life, and I mean so many bad things that going on in her life, this girl suffered through a lot of mental, emotional, physical, sexual, all type of abuse that you could think of. it seemed that this baby brought such a calmness to her when he was born.
After I saw that performance, I went back on the block. I used to live on the 6500 block of North Woodstock Street, uptown Philadelphia. And I told my brother, John Babb, and another cat we used to hang with back then, he's a well-known rapper today by the name of Random Beats. You know what I'm saying? I told these cats, I said, listen, I've just seen the greatest rapper of all time.
We laugh about this story to this day, but I was like, okay, you're a rapper, that's nice. Because I hear that all the time. I know a bunch of rappers. I know a lot of good rappers. So I really didn't take them seriously, So long story short, he got a chance. My dad gave him a forum in like an afternoon service to rhyme. So he said, yeah, I'm going to do a little rap. You have some beats. So of course I had beats. I loaded up something in my MPC, and he just blew everyone away. I mean, we know who O'Henny is. I had no idea that his talent was at the level that it was at. And I was like stunned. I was like, oh my God, I want to work with this dude. So he knew that, and so he kind of laughed because he was like, yeah, I know you didn't think I was probably going to be really good, but, what's up? Let's work together. And so then immediately, as all producers do, once you find somebody that's really good, then you want to play them like everything.
Whether we were at a straight-up nightclub that played all of the hip-hop hits, whether we did a street fair or performance, or we were in a Sunday morning worship service where everybody had on white, like O'Henny had the same response where people were literally mesmerized and amazed. So that special sauce of, who is this?
What's good?
The lessons like of the Pope and how they twisted the whole religion. They turned Christianity into a tradition. That means black folks are no longer the Christians. But actually I'm here to switch up the mission and teach the same Dr. Martin Luther vision. Which means I came with a new theme to teach y'all why I have a dream.
Oh!
I have a dream.
I have a dream. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
I see myself as a revolutionary, and I come to you in the name of Horus. I come to you in the name of Yahshua. I come to you in the name of Dessalines, in the name of Nat Turner, in the name of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Biko, Medgar Evers, Malcolm, Betty, Martin, Coretta, Nina Simone, Bob Marley, Fela Kuti, Fred Hampton, Stokely Carmichael, Afeni and Tupac Shakur. They died that I may live, so I live that they may never die. Praise Genu, the God in you.
Crisis on my head because of what I read. Some of us shall lead, some of us are led, some of us are led to crucify the truth. If all of us are thugs, then who supply to you?
I've always had a message from the very beginning. It doesn't matter what I sit down and plan to write. I always end up somehow trying to fight for people's rights and speak up for people who don't necessarily have a voice.
It's a fact that my brother's in the prison for trying to make a living. They see life in this drug, but but that's what it isn't. How can I tell you that though? The system doesn't care. Your people gotta eat. Your father wasn't there. Education ain't gonna get it. Next week rent is due. The refrigerator's empty. Canned goods finished too. It seems things was made to confuse you, life to abuse you, and you tired of oodles and noodles. I know the situation, and yeah, it bothers me. I see no reason why a man should be in poverty. With all the riches on the earth, they could feed the poor in Africa, but they'd rather go to space first. We falling face first. You know this place cursed. I taste the misery, and every day it tastes worse. Some of our flaws are a result of the law. All we like sheep in the lion's paws, and I'm tired. I read the story of Moses. Automatically, I identified with this guy who, was kind of left. Just hearing how that story played out, and he ends up in the great palace, and the family takes him in, and he's educated. Really sounded like something that I experienced.
Everything he would say would be like, everybody be surprised, because he was so young. I said, like one time he told me about the music. We had this raggedy organ. He had to put two wires together to make it work. And he said, I saw it. He said, listen to this. I said, come on, boy, I'm ready to go out again, because I was in the party. And he played, I think it was some kind of song like they played like a football game. What's the name of that song? Every time they say
the charge kind of thing. Dun 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 dun
and
dun,
and it was right. I said, oh my God, how you learn how to play that? He said, just by myself. And nobody taught him nothing. I said, oh my God, you actually got a tune. I said, get out of here. I was so shy. My mouth was wide open. I said, go ahead, boy.
Wow.
So he always is amazing to me.
So he was ahead of the game long time ago.
A long time ago. And he was little. I was like, oh my God, how could he know that? Nobody taught him that.
And I've always known that even as a kid, when my mother had me laying on her lap.
How bad yesterday
in Fairmount Park, it was in my mind that maybe tomorrow I could be, someone great.
He could freestyle. And I remember back then in Philly, I was coming up in Philly, as an MC in the 90s. Back then, freestyling meant you came off the top of your head.
As you see, I'm up here driving. I'm driving while freestyling. They say the boy OAT and E wildin'. Yo, that's why these other cats smiling. They know exactly how I get down, and I'm not losing, I'm only getting better with time. I'm only here to better your mind. There's nobody better than Quine, so stop the noise. When I come through, I drop your boys, and I had to stop, cause it was a red. But now I'm continuing on the green to come from the top of the head. Yo, they trying to get it when I spit it. I'm wondering if you people are with it. OHE and E, yo, I am my own worst critic. That means I criticize what is spitting, or what is coming from me when I'm spitting. Off the top of the dome, you know I keep it hitting. Yo, I take flight. Make me slow up a little bit, cause my man got his brake lights. And now he put on the trafficator, or the turn signal. I aggravate a rapper anytime they hear me, cause I'm drastic. Everything I spit is magic. They love the way I rap with the flows, no practice is necessary, cause I'm legendary. Man, I don't think y'all understand. This is what we do to topple the government. And yo, I'm back again. You were now rocking with the African. Yo, I told you, vocally I killed you. And when I drop, it's too hot for the pop filter. And I spilled up verses that's insane. Instant format that be coming from his brain is what they be saying when they hear it. Next the book, I don't need to write lyrics. I could freestyle a whole album. With the Mon and Malcolm, they love the outcome. How come?
Alright, really? Alright. So this is O'Henny, and I'm here with a group of young people who love music, can you see it? And real music, and they were at the event. So I want a couple of them to say a few things.
We really appreciate the musicianship and the incorporation of piano in the rap.
My pet scam exam shows I am the next damn Van Gogh. You can't go where the man goes with the angle. I'm just saying, yo. The whole rhymes like the Quran. When Old rhymes, you met Chopin. It's Johan, aka Brahms, aka Mr. Albert Rhymestein. You can't find rhymes like mine, or better yet, I like mine. I write minds in the right mind is an icon, an icon.
But this brother was the first brother ever. I will boldly say this, he's the first ever to play the piano and spit his verse simultaneously.
Silly question, right? Black, you good? And cue music.
When have you seen a rapper playing the piano and rapping at the same time before O'Henny Savant? You can go on YouTube. It's documented he's been doing this at least 14 years ago. Documented. But I witnessed him doing it way before that.
What he had and what he offered was on next level. He was just next level. From the beginning, he was next level. And he always talked about himself, and he always talked futuristic. He always talked about the future. So he already had an idea of who he was and what he wanted to be as soon as he came in.
If I'm able to make my ideas accessible to the public, you know, in the future people might write about me.
And I'm thinking of 100 years from now, how they're going to look at, you know, what I'm writing.
I'm telling you, we're going to change the world. I want you to be a part of this. I want you to witness this experiment as we change the world. We're going to actually prove that this makes a difference. So mark my words. You're going to watch me take this from just us to a global phenomenon.
We're working on the rap epidemics, and I think we were like 90% done. We were almost done with the whole album, like as far as the creative process with it. And he said to me, he said, Mel, I got an idea. And he just told me, he said, listen, record me, like just give me a lot of tracks. And then what I want you to do is I want you to pan this one track all the way to the left, and then pan this other track, like his next track that he was rhyming on or recording to on all the way to the right, hard panning. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, all right, I don't know what this guy is getting at, but I just couldn't see it at that point. So we did all the tracks to it, we recorded it, and you know, he did this whole story about Jesus, the meek, and then he did, you know, the next line about Jesus, the weak, and then he explained it all together at the end of the track. And then, you know, when I caught it at the end, when we were finished recording, I said, yo, man, this guy is on, he's on some extra. I don't know, man. No drug in the world that I know of could allow a human being to come up with that concept. So it wasn't drugs. So I was like, man, this dude is actually, you know, people throw away that word. They throw around that word genius a lot. So, you know, right now, it's only probably about like maybe like 8 geniuses, true geniuses that I know of in music overall. And after that, I knew he was one of them.
So I'm going to have to say that part again.
Listen, this man is an inventor. Listen, he made a song that plays on multiple devices simultaneously.
I wanted to see if I could create like 3D music. It's a song that plays on 2 different devices at the same time. Listen, here's my laptop, and that's going to play a portion of the song. Over here, I have the surround sound system. Anywhere that you have 2 different devices, you can play this song synchronicity. Okay, let's get into how it works. So now here's the part where you have to sync the devices. It's very simple. Whichever device you start first, you tap the pause button until it lines up with the other one. and the words are matching up exactly the same. So there it is. I've synced it. Now listen. Come over here and take your licks and stop acting like a bitch. You all the way over there, that's why you talking slick. I dare you to come near me, bro. Lucky this ain't stereo or mine though, cause y'all know not to be. Here we go. A bunch of rhetoric, that's what you got, but never get close enough to talk that talk, cause you know better than what. You think I'm scared because I'm.
I was looking for a producer at the time, and I heard some of O'Henny's music. Then he invited me to his studio. We went to the studio, and that's when I really learned how dope this dude really is. I was intrigued and excited, to say the least. And we started working together in the studio, and just like, this man is a genius. And the things that he brought out of me, just working with him in the studio, it was amazing. My favorite song or my favorite production that he did was Motown meets hip hop. It's like my all-time favorite. I could watch that video over and over and over again. Such a classic, so well done. And I feel like the world should see this, because if you love music, you cannot say that you don't like O'Henny.
Especially as I get away from the kiddie stage and on to the more mature stage in my life. I love the soulful feel that a lot of his music has. And just on some adult topics. I mean, it's not always about selling drugs.
He was a blessing to me as much as I was a blessing to him. And his talents, his skills, I'm just so honored and feel as though, if I may, that I not so much had an opportunity to sow seeds in his life, but to witness his life.
What's up, brother? Man, you's a bad man, Negro.
Hey, man, coming from you, listen, man, you one of my idols, brother. So coming from you, that's just more than a compliment, man. You made my year.
You touching everything in the kitchen sink around you. I love that. I'm your student.
But if you listen to Rapidemics, which I think is just one of the greatest hip-hop albums ever made, that's one of O'Henny's earlier albums, you can already see that O'Henny is constrained by the forms of rap music. So he's already looking at like cubism and trying to do surreal stuff and thinking about Baroque rhythmic methods and classical music as a form for rap. And so he's already wrestling with all of those things, meanwhile addressing all kinds of socio-political issues behind some hot beats.
It's no wonder some cops think they can shoot at me, cause all we gonna do is protest, and that's lunacy. It's not new, but see, we still marching. King started talking about money that killed Martin. Economic talk is the reason that they shot him, and our economic problems is why we are at the bottom. That's why I wasn't riding for Donald or Rodham. They're the left and right wing of the same Robin. And I say Robin cause that's what they doing. They rob from the poor and give to the rich movement. But we still consuming, illuminated by flat screens, telling our kids how Dr. King had dreams. It had to be a nightmare if he dreamt that we would end up drinking the water in Flint.
O'Henny was teaching a class at Temple University on the art of rap, like what eventually became his book that came out last year. And I had heard about, that there was a rapper that was teaching a class about how to rap.
I'm teaching in Temple right now, MC class.
One thing that's special is that he's also a scholar in his own right. He just completed a book that I really, really enjoyed reading and learning from. That book really details the whole process of rap as an art form. What does it take? What are the breathing techniques? What are the different kinds of rhymes that you have to do? What about the storytelling? O'Henny Savant really lays that out in a way that makes it a brother like me even believe that if I study, maybe one day I can be an MC.
Just handed me his book, Becoming an MC, and it's spelled EMC as in C as in visual. The 7 Principles of Rap, O'Henny Savant. This is your book.
Yeah.
The man released a book on rap. I mean, when you release a book on hip hop, on rap.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
This is O'Henny Savant in the building. I rap for the old people and the children. They love the way I do this on the mic. I'm like Spike Lee, like my man right here. He's rocking the Nikes. And I see when they hear me on the beat, they like, who this? The truest, like Nike, I just do it. They see that I'm a rap professor doing a lecture. They love it. Even though I messed up with the projector, it's still hot to freestyle it straight from the top. As you know, this is something unorthodox. They be like, how he do this? Of course I keep it raw, spitting at the force, and we did the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Let me tell you something. He has single-handedly, he has changed the landscape of hip-hop, of this genre of music, hip-hop music. He has influenced your favorite rapper.
You know, he was coming up with these, you know, creative, innovative songs that a lot of not only his peers, but those that are supposed to be his elders were copying. You can clearly see how some people that had came before O'Henny and had already achieved legendary status before O'Henny's like first big hit that you mentioned just another day, were changing what they were doing based on what O'Henny was doing.
Sure, he's inspired by Mozart. He's inspired by some of the greatest ever, Jimi Hendrix. Like, he's inspired by a lot of different people. But O'Henny is no copycat. He is an absolute original design. And so the greater question is, how many greats has he inspired that have taken his sound and pretended that it was their own?
I hear music in its totality. Drums, bass, piano, horns. I hear the entire orchestra. Sometimes I'm creating a rhythmic symphony.
He has something he created called the harmonic system. This is how this brother does his backgrounds in such an intricate way. The harmonic system. He put harmony into the backgrounds. If you ever heard the song he did called Not So Brilliant Corners, this brother, you know, this is a Thelonious Monk tune that he's rhyming over. If you hear the backgrounds, he's rapping over Monk's left hand as well as the right.
Cops have their price. They call them cops because they cop it. It's beginning to seem nobody cares.
He's doing the backgrounds. He's using Monk's left hand as his backgrounds. You know what I'm saying? And he's taking the voice of an instrument, making his voice the instrument. You know what I'm saying? With his phrasing. Nobody was doing this before him.
People say, how's that different from Digable Planets and Tribe Called Quest? They did jazz, and it's different because that was jazz rap. Just like there's jazz music, there's jazz, and then there's bebop. Bebop was where jazz went. It was the next generation, basically. So what this is the same thing. We have jazz rap, and then we have bop rap. You know what I'm saying? And this is dealing with orchestration, polymetric. A lot of my stuff is in different time signatures. It's a lot going on musically.
Sometimes when you have that kind of genius and you're so far ahead of your time, I mean, O'Henny is not days, weeks, or a few years ahead of time. Like, he's sometimes decades or more in front of current genres. You know, that is not always an easy path to take.
The phrasing, the brother, like I said, the brother is an intellectual and a musical genius.
This brother is a genius. This brother is one of the grand musicians of his generation. This brother, like Prince, plays a variety of different instruments.
Peace, this is Oz, O'Henny Savant, but OS for short. That's why I say Oz. Some of y'all see me play the piano backwards, so I want to show you some of my writing. These are the lyrics to rap opera. Check it out. These are the lyrics, some of the lyrics to rap opera, which is a 30-minute song in 2 acts. So it's, the first act is 15 minutes and it's already been released. So check out my self-titled project if you want to hear it. This is what the lyrics look like when I write it. And so I have a mirror here. I want you to see that this is a mirror. And when you look at the lyrics through the mirror, you see clearer. Sorry, I'm in MC. I have to do that from time to time.
Hold up. All I hear is unoriginal, this shit is pitiful and so it's critical that I be critical. I'm sick of digital and all the niggas who be claiming they be rapping on the chemical. Now tell me how you gonna stop this. You can't even tell me how to ride this beat that I got out of the tropics. If I was you, I would switch the topic. Now let me get on my icon shit. Hey, yo, Henny, your friend and prophet. Y'all let somebody you the hardest. I dread to say GH. You better listen to me, I got this. I've been hot since 9-6. I supplied the hotness. Y'all just dropped the nonsense. Baby, you don't know mine.
Like me, I've found that he's a very compassionate person, and these days, especially in hip hop, it's hard to even think of compassion. People always try to act thugged out. It's always something negative. It's never anything positive. And just to see how much positivity he has, how much life he has to him, and really, I think just being in his presence, I feel better. I feel like I'm in the presence of divinity, honestly, because he uplifts me in every way. He uplifts everybody who's around him, and it's just in his persona. It's just in his manner. Even at times, like even when we're not serious, just making us laugh, man. He is hilarious. He can come up with some really funny stuff. So I don't know. As a person, I just see him being one of the best people I know, one of the best people I've ever met.
One of the things people may not know about O'Henny Savant is that in addition to him being a genius and an innovator, he's also a genuinely good person. A lot of us artists and successful entrepreneurs owe our success to the fact that he's the one who motivated us to do the things that we do. See, a lot of us had given up, and when O'Henny sees something in you, something in him refuses to let that thing die. And so many times I wanted to give up what I did, and he's motivated me to keep pushing because he saw greatness in me. A lot of people don't have that in their lives. A lot of your favorite artists have continued doing what it is they do because they had a conversation with O'Henny Savant. I always tell people he's one of the only people I know who has been consistently what he has been all the years that I've known him. I've never known a time when he was dishonest or has gotten over. I've never known a time when this man has not honored his word. I mean, that is very hard to come by in this industry. And when you come across it, you better not let it go.
I guess I took a bad situation and made something good out of it. Behold, strike towards rebellion is the right course. Tell me what the you wanna fight for. Yeah, tell me what the you wanna die for. Behold, strive towards rebellion is the right course. Tell me what the you wanna fight for. Yeah, tell me what the you wanna die
got a text from my best guy. Can't believe it read, the man have died. Many thoughts circulating in my head, why? Cause part of my childhood left when he expired. The worst feeling, the pain is when you can't cry. The hurt still in your brain, if I could ask God, where the people like Pac and Mike go? And did the world just get too hard for Michael? I guess the real question is, when will I go? And will my light shine even when my eyes close? They say it's men fear what we can't understand. That's why a person's death can really crush a man. Sometimes it seems life can crush your plans. Got me praying the reaper don't get the upper hand. Still marching on my feet is stuck in sand. I do it over and over and over again. Before it.
There's a song.
Finally, I'm here. Big shout out to my brother Ohene Savant to New York for producing this beat.
Here's what would make your argument valid is if there was absolutely no brilliance now. If there was not an Esperanza Spalding, there was not a I'm gonna go and shout him out. This cat named Ohene Savant. He is the closest thing to a hip-hop prince I've ever seen. He plays like 7 instruments and he rap his ass off. If there was not a him, if there was not a J. Cole, if there was not a Kendrick Lamar, there are so many people who are brilliant who were forced underground as opposed to, and here's where the problem is, when there were people who sucked. There were people who absolutely sucked that made music, but you didn't know them. You know why? Because of the Four Tops and Teddy Pendergrass and the Isley Brothers and the Temptations and Earth, Wind and Fire and Luther Vandross and Patti LaBelle and Anita Baker. So you could suck. You just gonna have to suck and still work at Best Buy. You're not gonna be able to do this shit and eat and suck.
It says love will prevail. So sing it over.
So sing it over and over again. Sing it over and over and over again. Yeah.
I'm saying, because young people, you know what I'm saying, you got to use different methods in order to, to captivate the hearts and minds of the people. You know what I'm saying? Especially the youth. You got to come with something new.
I've been trying to say this for the longest time, so maybe y'all need to hear it. This is the man they call Oz, the great and powerful. This is the man that you crap rappers, you're shaking in your boots and your freestyle is weak and you'd never be able to keep up with him. Let me tell you this, there's no need to be embarrassed because of the fact that he's better than you, and you know it.
As some of you know, I just signed a deal with Viper and Universal Records. We're putting in the final touches on my album.
Right now, we got half a glass of music.
That half a glass of music.
Yeah.
And I have half a glass of pineapple juice.
I just want to say that I am so very proud of him. I am. And I know that his mother is smiling in heaven. I know she'd be crying. Because when she get happy, she cries. This was to cry. She could cry and drop her pin. And then put her makeup on the next second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she would be so proud. So I feel like I'm trying to say in her place. Because I know we was that tight. Her son was like my son, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She would be so proud, and I'm really proud of him. I really am. When I listen to the tapes, I just smile. everybody look at me about like, what's wrong with you? I smile, I cry, I smile, I cry. I go through so many emotions when I just see his tape that he sent me. I was like, oh my God, that's my baby. That's my baby. I'm so proud of him. I really am.
Let's go.
Where we going?
Come on, Daddy. Come on, Daddy.